Hey guys, we're going to take a look at Hunter x Hunter Volume 3, and I'm just going to give you kind of like my thoughts on what's working. What's interesting about Hunter x Hunter is it kind of drops you right into the middle of the action in the first two chapters. Like, here's Gon, he wants to be a hunter. Now he's in the hunter exam, life or death situations. Wow, like no filler arc, no little character building sequence. We're just going to dive right into the action. But I think what Yoshihiro Togashi's strength is he's really, really good at writing trials for his characters, excuse me, cough squad, that are both a test of their physical ability as well as their mental ability. So it's like a chess game is being played, and there are games within games. But the fun is that Gon is a simple person. So frequently, while his friends are debating the strategy of what's going on, Gon isn't smart enough to understand the chess game being played, but that doesn't mean he's an idiot. He's simple, but he's not a simpleton. He frequently sees sort of stupidly simple solutions to the problems that his friends can't see. And I think the team dynamics are really starting to cement in this volume. So previously, the team has been, they are wandering the path of majority rules, and whatever the majority votes decides, that's what the team has to obey. But Tonpa, the sneaky, treacherous, you know what, he wants the team to fail. He's only here because he kind of gets a sadistic pleasure of watching the rookies fail. He usually drops out by this point, and they find him out, and they basically know that among one of them at least is a snake, right? He's also trying to undermine their team unity and use the fact that there's continual voting to get them to bicker with one another. One kind of neat thing about this is that Tonpa has no dreams. He doesn't want to better himself. He only wants to tear down other people, whereas the other four have a big dream that they are pursuing. So Gon wins his fight by coming up with a stupidly simple solution to the problem, and Kurapika is next. So if Gon is simple, Kurapika is an intellectual fighter, fine young martial artist. He's free. Not only is he intelligent, he kind of like knows the chess game that's going on. He's also wise enough to know when he's being deceived. So his opponent is a big, strong-looking guy who claims to be a member of an elite assassin guild, but Kurapika knows for a fact that he can't be a member because the tattoo is wrong. So he has some knowledge of the situation, and he also hates it. His whole mission is to destroy this team of assassins. So it basically triggers him. He goes primal mode and punches the crap out of his opponent. So he sees through a basic deception. Kurapika, though, has a sense of honor. He doesn't want to kill an opponent while he's down, and Leorio actually wants them to take a vote to see if Kurapika should kill the guy while he's down. And what Tonpa knows is that Leorio is sort of missing the whole point of the metagame. The whole point of the vote is it's seemingly a way of quickly deciding things. But the reason that what this path is testing is it's testing how well they get along as a team. By continually having them vote, it's creating more and more opportunities for division. And Leorio, who's pretty smart, he's missing the point of the whole deception. Meanwhile, their enemy Hisoka is just mowing down the opposition, and it reinforces this point that Hisoka not only murders people, but he's kind of cruel and ruthless as he's doing it. Like, he doesn't even respect his opponents as he's striking them down. So we know he's bad news. So one kind of neat thing is games within games. So not only is there this voting mechanic that's driving the main characters against one another, their opponents are criminals who have been promised years off their sentence if they can delay the hunters. So the only resource they have to wager with in this temple is time. The good guys have hours to complete the test that they can wager, and the bad guys have years of their sentence that they can wager. So one of them challenges, and the bad guys, the criminals, get to decide what the game or what the test is. So our heroes have to convince their opponents to play a game with them because there's a mutual benefit, but both of the teams can benefit by playing games with one another. So the bad guy proposes a game of wagers. We'll just keep wagering until one side wins decisively against the other side. You wager 50 hours of time, we wager 50 years of our sentence. So Leorio picks this one because he thinks that he thinks he's a good gambler. What ends up happening, though, is that although he is pretty bright, he's able to kind of like come up with some tactically good bets. He eventually loses his focus. So he finds out his opponent's a woman, and the fact that she's a woman, he loses his focus. And so he bets, oh, I bet that you're a guy. And if you're not a guy, I have to touch you to see if you really are a guy. Right? So because he's a pervy idiot, he loses a bet and puts his team behind the 8 ball. Leorio, because he's perverted and unfocused, is the weakest member of his team. So it all comes down to a game of chance of rock, paper, scissors. And Leorio just kind of like instinctively picks what he thinks is good. And his opponent, the girl, picks what she thinks has according to the laws of probability, has the best shot of winning. So not only does Leorio lose his match, he costs them 50 hours of precious time to complete the test. Killua is next, and Killua's pretty bright. So what's interesting is all of them have sort of varying skill sets. I think that's what makes them work as a team. So Killua is, unlike Leorio, he isn't the best math whiz, right? He's not that good with numbers. He's pretty cunning. He's been able to sort of see through the deceptions in the games being played this whole time, and he's kind of like, you know, bowing his head in frustration, watching Leorio whiff his challenge. But what separates Killua is ruthless. So if Kurapika is very honorable and doesn't want to kill an opponent while he's down, Killua is basically just willing to like run in there and cold-blooded murder his opponent. Now, his opponent is an evil serial killer. He's set up as being really dangerous, and you can't even get close to him. And all of that's just a setup for Killua to just like rush in fast and murder him in one stroke. So Killua is seemingly an innocent, naive little boy like Gon, but there's a murderous spirit underneath that. He relies on pure ruthlessness. So all of the votes up to this point have just kind of been they're sort of tricking the participants into thinking they're more important than they are. So it might be like a door. Do you vote to open the door or close the door? Well, of course you vote to open the door. There might be, do you go left or do you go right? Well, you don't know what's left and what's right. So really the decision doesn't matter that much. All the votes are doing is it's maybe creating more opportunities for the team to fight with one another. So the climax of the voting mechanic arc is they're forced into a situation where you can either go down the long path, and all five of you can go, or you can go down the short path where only 3 of you can go. And they know for a fact they do not have a time to complete the long path. So do you stick together as a team or do you divide and conquer? So now it's going to come down to the wire of, even if they get rid of Tanpa the snake, one of the 4 heroes has to go. And Gon doesn't want to do that because he believes in sort of teamwork and fair play. We came in together, we should go out together. So they debate for a while, and there's a little head fake where it looks like these 3 are the ones who come through, but then the other 2 come through. So what happened? What was the secret? Well, the secret was Gon found a stupid solution. Why don't we vote to go down the long path and then break through the door, to chisel through the wall to the short path and then go down that way? I mean, we're super strong, right? We're strong enough to pulverize rock with our bare hands. So let's just put that skill to use. Let's just put that skill to use. So Gon is simple, but he's not an idiot. All 5 of them pass the test. And the next stage of the test is, I think this is going to be their final test, is they're going to be separated. They're going to be given someone to hunt. So ironically, the last test of the Hunter exam is to hunt someone. You will be hunted by someone. You will hunt someone. And one kind of cool thing is if you weren't paying attention to the numbers, you might not know who you were hunting. So Gon was paying attention, and he's unlucky. He draws Hisoka, the crazy psycho murder clown, and Gon knows for a fact that he can't beat Hisoka in a fair fight. So a really unlucky draw for Gon, but because he remembers Hisoka and he knows who Hisoka is, ironically, Gon has the advantage of he actually knows who his opponent is. A lot of the other people are just working in a mystery. They're not really sure who their target is, and nobody knows who's targeting them. Now, Gon isn't an intellectual character, but he is able to figure out a problem. So Gon takes his first day to kind of like sit and fish and think about his problem, and sort of step by step, he comes up with his strategy. So his main problem is, I know for a fact I can't beat this guy in a straight fight, and he sees one hunter stalking another. So he kind of figures out, okay, I have to stalk my prey quietly like that. his only weapon is a fishing rod, and he's really skilled with a fishing rod, and he can hook something from a distance, but he's only good at hitting stationary objects. So he takes a day to try to practice hitting a moving object, and he can't hit a moving object. What he learns is if he can predict where his target is going, he can anticipate it. So he notices that the birds go for fish, and so he doesn't aim where the bird is, he aims where the bird is going, and he scores a hit. So it's sort of like Gon teaches himself to do things by practicing things. He learns by doing. And so even though he's not that bright, this process of practicing until he finds a solution that works is how he comes up with a strategy that he knows can work. He trains himself and he comes up with solutions at the same time. Meanwhile, the others are sort of figuring out that this is another test that is both a test of your physical abilities as a hunter, but also a test of your ability to negotiate and see through deception. So you have to hunt someone. Someone is hunting you. You may or may not know who you're hunting. So Tonpa the snake shows up and says, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not hunting you. See, here's the number of the guy I'm hunting for, and it's not yours," so to trick Leorio. What it turns out is that Tonpa was playing a long game. He teamed up with someone else and traded cards so he could trick Leorio, because Leorio was his target the whole time. Again, Leorio is not that good at... Leorio is not as smart as he thinks he is. He's not as good... People are able to deceive him because Leorio basically only thinks one step ahead. Kurapika shows up and pulls Leorio's fat out of the fire. And for Kurapika, his reasoning is, look, you're my buddy, but also it's good for us to team up and have an alliance. Two heads are better than one in the situation. So one of the neat things that's emerging is, yes, this game is encouraging you to hunt down a bunch of people and take their cards, but not all the cards are worth the same thing. So you could also ally with someone. You could negotiate with someone and maybe trade cards with them if you don't think you can rely purely on your hunting abilities. Gon starts to sneak up on Hisoka, and he sees Hisoka striking down another fighter. And again, when Hisoka strikes him down, he doesn't even acknowledge this guy as a strong enough fighter to even bother fighting with him. The guy's trying to kill him. Hisoka just dances around him and doesn't bother to strike back. So not only is Hisoka ruthless, he's kind of cavalier to the hopes and dreams of those he fights. The only thing that Hisoka respects is potential, and the only reason Hisoka spared Gon earlier is he believes that Gon has hidden potential that he wants to see. So Hisoka finally, after the guy dies off, Hisoka decides, okay, time to go start hunting my quarry. And what it's revealed is that Hisoka is either hunting Kurapika or Leorio. We don't know which. That's part of the tension, but we know that Gon is hunting Hisoka, and Hisoka is hunting his friend. So it leaves us with this kind of dramatic hook that the most deadly fighter in the whole game is going after one of our heroes. So really well handled. I like how Gon is a convincing example of a hero who isn't high IQ, but he isn't like a chess player, but he isn't stupid. His intelligence comes in the fact that he comes up with quick, creative, simple solutions to problems. So he doesn't really need, advanced high IQ 40 chess moves. His practical thinking and his ability to kind of keep persevering and keep testing himself is what lets him overcome these kinds of challenges. So I'm really interested to see what happens next. I'm really enjoying it. So more to come.